to developments that are new in the case of Alec Murdaugh. The Colleton County Clerk of Court, Becky Hill, is admitting to plagiarism. It has to do with the opening of her book about the case.
And not only that, her co-author is stopping sales of the book and is vowing to never work with Hill again. Neil Gordon wrote Behind the Doors of Justice with Becky Hill and says he recently discovered the plagiarism while he was reviewing emails.
And Gordon says that Hill plagiarized a work from a BBC reporter for part of the book's preface. Now, Neil Gordon has notified the reporter and the BBC, their attorneys are investigating that allegation.
Yeah, big allegation. Becky Hill's attorney, Justin Bamberg, put out a statement on her behalf. Here's what he had to say. Becky Hill is deeply remorseful regarding an allegation of plagiarism that has recently surfaced from her new book, Behind the Doors of Justice, The Murdaugh Murders. The pressures of developing additional content under tight time deadlines resulted in Ms. Hill taking material written by BBC reporter Holly Honderick and submitting it to her co-author Neil Gordon as if it were in her own words.
Here's more from that statement. Justin Bamberg, on behalf of Becky Hill, says that she accepts full responsibility for this, quote, unfortunate lapse in judgment, and has personally reached out to Ms. Honderick to express her sincere apologies. The self-published book is only available online through Amazon and Audible, and the decision has been made to unpublish the book for the foreseeable future until steps for the book have been identified. I mean, wow.
This is huge, and this new controversy, Julia, about Hill comes as Alec Murdaugh's attorneys are asking for a retrial, saying she tainted the jury. But before we talk about all that, a lot to talk about today, let's take a look back at the controversy surrounding Becky Hill.
The defendant will rise. Madam Clerk, you may publish the verdict.
The State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant. Guilty, verdict. Guilty, guilty, guilty.
The Clerk of Court had improper private communications with the jurors, and the subject matter of those communications was the credibility of the defense that the Murdaugh legal defense team put up, and it was the believability of the defendant's own testimony.
Well, the Clerk of Court does a big job of being a liaison between the judge, the lawyers, the public, the documents that are in a trial. In a case of this magnitude, there's a lot of documents, there's a lot of paper, there was a lot of people that had come together from all over the world. We had people coming from France, England, California, Wyoming, and so many other places, just to be able to open our doors and have everything together for the trial that we were going to have. Just a normal, any other day kind of trial was huge. It was epic.
We never considered the likelihood, as reported to us by the jurors, that the Clerk of Court would go in to the sanctity of the jury room before he testified and tell the jurors, don't be fooled by his testimony, watch out for his body language, and if that is true, which we have every reason to believe that it is, and no reason to believe that it's not, there's no choice but the courts to grant a new trial. But immediately in the aftermath of the verdict, we had received information that we needed to look into what happened in the jury room. We started down that road, and we met a zone of silence. No jurors would speak to us. And so we were, what I like to call, we were given the Heisman, right? And then when the Clerk of Court wrote her book, published her book, that zone of silence collapsed. Jurors who obviously were not comfortable with how she handled matters were even less comfortable with her going on a book tour and making money off what she did. That's what was reported to us.
Well, she's trying to make a lot of money. That's the point. I mean, she's trying to make money off of it. She's selling the book. I mean, the question is, was it a successful scheme? I don't know. I mean, if you've read it, I'm not going to give a book review here, but I don't know that you'd buy the book.
I got to tell you, you asked my reaction. I was pretty upset at what Harpootlian said was the motivation that Becky had. Last time I checked, Simon & Schuster did not send us a check for $200,000. The Gordons and the Hills put up $30,000 of our own money because we felt this was an interesting story to tell. So right away, Vinny, for that to be motivation for her to get a book deal is completely false. We felt it was a story that should be told. I mean, in my lifetime, I'm 59 years old. I don't know that there will ever be another trial like this. And it was my honor and pleasure to work with somebody with such integrity and character as someone like Becky Hill.
All right, Julia, I must ask you, before we go to our great legal guest today, what you think. Because overall, I have said, I think potentially if any of the allegations underlying all of this about Becky Hill are true, that there may be a new trial in the works for Alex Murdaugh. But now you add this plagiarism, and to me that goes directly to the credibility, and I think it means that why is anybody going to believe anything Becky Hill has to say?
It can cause a problem. And, you know, you look at what Neil Gordon is saying there in the match that we just put on. He's saying something completely different now because he's even shocked. Her co-author says that he is shocked that she would lift something from another reporter. And I mean, how easy is it to find out when someone does that? I mean, it's all you have to do is Google what's there in this book and you'd be able to find that article. So it's really strange. Interesting that she came out through her attorney and admitted it so quickly. When she's denied everything else in this case.
Yeah, and I think it may be because you mentioned it, we were just talking off air and you said, listen, maybe by admitting that it's easier to say, but I didn't do all those other things I'm being accused of with jurors.
Possibility. Let's see what Al Wunsch has to say about it. Joining us now to discuss in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Al Wunsch III, and also Jennifer Brandt in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, family law attorney. So good to have you both on. Al, let me start with you. What do you think is the reason behind Becky Hill so quickly admitting to plagiarism?
Well, the mea culpa is always a great way to go. You go up there and you say, listen, I did it. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I had a deadline that I had to get. And, you know, I mean, let's face it. Plagiarism is like getting in trouble for something you didn't do. So, I mean, that's what you just say is, look, I was panicked. I was told I need to get this done by this date, and I did it. And look, we have seen many great authors, okay, and even a president who has been accused of plagiarism, and they've gotten through it and, you know, rode out the storm. You know, you admit it and you move on. And that's what she did, which was a smart move on her part. Whether or not that attacks her credibility, I mean, you know, let's face it. You know, everyone has probably copied something, okay, at some point in life on a term paper or on a letter to the editor or to something that you're going to do. I don't think it's a crime. It's not a crime necessarily. It's not something that hasn't happened before. And, you know, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one.
All good points, but Jennifer, you know, Alex Murdaugh, in his case, it has legs, unlike we've seen in many, many of our trials. And this, to me, is one more thing. Okay, great. She admitted that she did it. Neil Gordon, her co-author, as we just saw, is the one who actually turned her in and said, look, I found this and told everybody this is what she did. How much, at the end of the day, do you think the plagiarism directly relates to Alex Murdaugh and his murder convictions?
Well, I think his defense team would like to have it relate to his murder conviction and a new trial, but I really don't think it does. It does ruin her credibility. I mean, for sure. And we've already had problems with her with the accusations of jury tampering, and now we have this new issue of plagiarism, which of course she had to admit. I mean, it's provable. The author of the original article could have come out and said, that's my work. So, I mean, I don't think she had any other way to get out of it, so she admitted it. And I think it just completely ruins her credibility. But to take that to the next step and use it as a basis for Alex Murdaugh getting a new trial after all that we've seen and the amount of time and resources that were devoted to his original trial and all of the evidence, I really don't think that should happen as a result of this issue.
And we'll certainly be paying attention to when that new hearing for a potentially new trial happens. We expect that's going to be at the end of the month in January.